started Go Sharing 3 years ago, together with Donny van the Oever and Doeke Boersma. And it all started 10 years ago when I finished my commercial economics. My parents opened up a shop with electric bikes, electric mopeds, some small kick scooters, but that was more for the camper. It wasn't back then as we know it nowadays with big sharing companies. It was just for private use. And I was always interested in electric mobility. I really think already back then that it is the future. So they got multiple brands in the showroom, and one of them asked us if we wanted to join a commercial training and a workshop training. And I said, I want to join. Why not? Let's see how it works, and maybe it can help a little bit. And I think I still had 2 months of school. I did a training, and they offered me a job if I wanted to start to do the Benelux for EMCO. It's an electric moped brand in Germany. I first said no, because in my mind I wanted to go to Kuala Lumpur for a different job. Wow. Of course, my parents had a different opinion when I was 18 years old. So I started at EMCO. That's where it all started. First of all, I could start doing finding the dealerships in the Netherlands. So like traditional showrooms, car showrooms, bike stores. Was really interesting to learn. And after 4 years, we had more and more opportunities in sharing. So for example, first customer was Emmy, then it was Emio, and now it's Go to Global. They made the first order for sharing vehicles. And it was interesting to see back then, when there was almost non-moped sharing, that 3 students had a great idea and they just went for it. At that moment, I was more on the export project, so more and more sharing, less just on the Benelux. And I had the opportunity to learn from all these entrepreneurs. And for example, I worked together with Jago, with Emmy, with Europcar, with Stella, great companies, all doing on a different style sharing solution. And back then we said, why not doing it ourselves? So that was 3.5 years ago. And we were looking how to do it, how should we do it? And we said, okay, if we're going to do this, we need to do it big. So like American style, make sure we get skilled. Well, for us, it's really the beginning, but at least we got really the skill in. And at that moment, we looked a lot into kick scooters, but back then they were like picked up every night. The lifetime of the vehicles wasn't long. So we said, okay, we really want to make a sustainable offering of shared mobility, not only by offering electric vehicles, but also making sure that the whole footprint of the offering is truly green. So we said we want to have mopeds, because with the mopeds we can have a lifetime of 5 years, which is totally different than for example, the kick scooters. And we also do the operations 100% electric. We do it with green energy. So we really try to make every step in the process greener and making sure we really make some impact.
Okay, that's quite interesting, because back then there was a scooter craze. Scooter companies were big, everybody was getting a lot of funding. So it's quite interesting that you looked at the industry, the sharing industry, and instead of doing the scooters like everybody else was doing, you actually looked at the sustainability of the actual business, and you decided to go with mopeds. But I guess, one of the reasons why you started with mopeds is also because of your background and, your experience, I guess. But so when you start a sharing business, you need to have, obviously, the hardware, but also the software. And as we all know, in mobility, if you want to enter this industry fast, because you need to enter fast, right? We all start with white label. And then over time, obviously, you develop your own. So how did you start in terms of the software?
Well, not only the software, but I think in you have so many different like software, hardware, financing. IoT. You have so many separate stuff you need to fix. So we said, okay, we can do a couple of things ourselves in making sure we can scale. And for others, we need just great partners that are helping us. So for service, we are working closely together with our service provider, Greenmo, who is doing full operational lease. So we don't need to get a lot of money because we don't need to buy all the vehicles. We just do full operational lease, making sure we have a really good SLA. For financing in the early days, a good one for this podcast, but in the early days, we found Rabobank as a Rabo Corporate Investments to be willing to invest in the company, to also help in financing in the beginning. And we had software, indeed, a white label app of Go Urban. It's still a Go, but nothing to do with Go sharing. Who is really experienced on building the white label app and scaling together with us. And we really made a decision in the beginning to not do everything ourselves because we wanted to do the scaling fast, making sure we get the scale profitability in, and then to do things in-house when we really know exactly what we want to do. And that's right now what we're doing more and more. So of course now with around 15,000 vehicles on the street, which is maybe not much if you look at the kick scooter numbers, but for example, if you look at the mopeds, we're the biggest operator in the world. So the numbers are getting more interesting. Now we're taking more and more in-house to take over control.
Yeah.